This tutorial is going to show you how to use the Class Dojo app on your iPad to help keep track of behaviors in your classroom, both positive and negative. When you first open up the Class Dojo app, you're going to have to log in with your username and password, and then you see all of the classes that you've set up. Okay, it is much easier to go ahead and set up all of your classes on the computer rather than doing it on the iPad, but you can do it on the iPad as well. So I'm going to open up this demo class app so you can kind of see how things are set up in here. When you first go in, you can edit a class, and you can edit it by changing the name, the grade, the subject area. You can tap on the icon and you can change that. You can add or delete students from there. My students in our district can be very transit, so sometimes I have students coming in the middle and leaving quite often. So if you have a student that is gone, you want to delete them, you can go ahead and slide that and delete them. You can add new students by putting up there in the student name right up there and then hitting the plus sign. Another thing that you can do, if you go back up here, you can edit your behaviors. I've got 9 positive behaviors set up on here. You certainly want to make them work for your classroom and your grade and age level. Each classroom can have different behaviors, or you can set them so that you can copy them onto all of your other classes. So I have things like creative work, good listening, cleanup, helping others, on task, things like that. Scissor safety is one that I like to have on, especially my younger classes. My older ones I don't necessarily put on there as much, but that works. So you can go up and change the name of a behavior and just hit the plus sign and you'll be able to add that on there. The negative behaviors, the same thing, then you can add or change them. If you see something occurring in your classroom and you really want to take care of it, you can add that on there. Maybe you have students that are really having a hard time listening to directions. Poor listening. You can add that to it. You can change the little icon to, to something like that. All right. And you hit done, and then you can go back. When you're done editing, you just hit the done button. You can, the edit bubbles, that will edit your bubbles. So the last time that I went into this class, this is the points they have. I like to start each class new and fresh. I don't want to destroy their points, but from the app you can reset their points. So I'm going to hit select all, and I'm going to reset all of the bubbles to 0 so that we can start at 0 from that day. You can also take attendance, which is really good to be able to take attendance from here. So if someone is absent, you can tap on them, like Pablo here. He was marked absent. Maybe I'm gonna Mary has left. In the middle of a class, you can go back to attendance, and maybe somebody left and they went to the nurse's office. You can put that on there to kind of signify that they left, but they went to the nurse's office. When you're done with attendance, you just hit done, and then you can start your class. So when you start your class, all of your students come up here, and I have first and last names on this demo class, but most often I will just put first names and maybe last initials. I won't always put the last name on there. So as you're working through your class, you might see that Claude and Eddie are really doing a great job, and they're being excellent listeners, so you can give them a good listening point. Okay? Perhaps Jack is not doing so great because he is being disrespectful to his classmates because he's throwing paint all around on him. If you have a whole group of students, you notice the whole class is doing a great job and you want to give everybody an on-task point, you can hit select all of the names are highlighted, and you can hit the on-task button. or whatever behavior you'd like to give. Perhaps the majority of the class is doing something and you want to reward them. You can select all, but then you can deselect. Maybe Leo and Paul were having a little conversation while you were talking, and you want to take them off of there, and you want to give everybody else a good listening point, but you don't want Leo or Paul to have one. You didn't take a point away from them, but you didn't give them the positive either. So as the class goes on, you can do whatever behaviors that you need to do. You can certainly take the iPad around with you. I have it just kind of grab it and have it on my hand as I'm walking around helping students, and then I'm able to really quick just tap on the iPad and make some quick notations and give some points away and take them as I need them. There is a sound that also goes along with this. Half the time I don't have my iPad sounds up, but there will be a negative sound and a positive sound. When the class is finished, click the arrow, go back, and you can check the reports. I always have my classes have a goal at the beginning of the year. Our goal usually starts out that 85% of the students, or that we have 85% positive points as a class, and then they get a special letter colored in on the board. So you can, I encourage you to make goals as you go to do this so that it means something. So if I tap on the whole class, the circle is going to come up and it's going to show us what the class did, the date at the bottom there, and it's going to show how many positive points we have. You can also separate it to see what were those negative points or what did we get the most points for. So you can take care of that. You could also go back and take a look just at a particular student. You can glance and see on the side there, see what their percentage is. Pablo doesn't have any points because, of course, he was absent, so there was no activity on Pablo's account. And Jackson, well, he had 71% positive, but he had that 29% of his because he had a point taken away because he was disrespectful. You can add a comment there. You can put that perhaps throwing paint. And then that's something that the parents will see if they log on. If they're connected and they log on to his account, they'll be able to see that on there. So this is a great way of checking out and keeping track of good behaviors and bad behaviors. And like I said, I like to set a whole goal, and so the class at the end of the art time, after they've lined up to go, they always want to know their percentage and if we've made our goal or not. And they love to see that green go all the way around and fill to 100%. That's of course always what we aim to have.